Hi, Bill Bodner, Mortgage Market Guide. Thanks for tuning in to our MMG weekly recap. So, what a crazy week. We've had plenty of videos and updates kind of going through the ramifications of the election and obviously the uncertainty of, um, not knowing who the next president will be is what gave bonds a lift. But it feels like the bond market is getting a sense that Joe Biden is going to get uh, it's going to be when it's all said and done. It looks like Joe Biden will end up with it, but we shall see. It's going to change, and there's going to be a lot of noise. And I think if it gets longer and more protracted, the counts and what that looks like, and lawsuits that could add a bit more uncertainty, which could be beneficial to bonds. But bonds are moving higher, the 10-year note yield, and I think this morning's jobs report was a good one to look over them. Uh, the headline number is 638,000 bested expectations. But I think the big thing was if you remove the few hundred thousand that were removed from government, we actually added 906 private job creations, which was a huge number. The unemployment rate going at 6.9 was fantastic. And what's even better about the number is that the labor force participation rate expanded. That means we didn't get a lower unemployment rate by people leaving the labor market. They actually came into the labor market. So that means, we have more people employed and less people unemployed, which is a good thing. And hourly earnings at 4.5% was strong. So that's why bonds are having a tough time. I mean, that jobs report was pretty darn good. And another stimulus plan will come. But again, as we go into the weekend and we're thinking about, what to share with clients, the bond market got a lift from the uncertainty of the election results. Each day that passes, we're closer to getting one. And it seems like the markets are handicapping where it's going to go. Once the uncertainty is removed, it wouldn't surprise us to see maybe a little bit of uptick in yields, and we're seeing that right now. And so we have to be mindful of that. The other thing is a stimulus plan is coming, but it will be less. I think the smaller stimulus plan is actually good for bonds because it doesn't look like that $2 trillion that was almost negotiated a couple of weeks ago. That looks like that's off the table. In fact, they're talking about something maybe half of that to just maybe do it targeted right now, but no big plans are coming. And the other thing I think overall, when I look at this for the next year or two, is if the Senate is held by the Republicans, it's probably for the markets almost the best case scenario because it means that there won't be any radical change. It means that there won't be big policies changes and taxes and things like that, especially the corporate tax structure. So I think that will be really good for your clients as well as us in our business. And then on top of that, we had the Fed this week, right? So the Fed, they're with a split Congress. It's clear in our eyes that the Fed may be called upon to do more. The Fed can't just go run away and start hiking rates because we're not going to get the stimulus efforts and the big giant infrastructure plan. At least it doesn't seem it. And we're going to have more of the same, a lot of grinding, a lot of stalemate. And I think that's going to be the way for the next couple of years, which is good for the markets. And I think it means that the Fed will have to probably be called upon to do more, or at least keep rates where they are for some time. So it makes for a great backdrop for housing. And remember, when you see this jobs report at 6.9% unemployment, that's an unbelievable number. Jobs are what buy homes. So you have these jobs coming back, and you have interest rates. This week we had the lowest mortgage rate defined by Fannie Freddie in the history of our country. So it's a great backdrop for housing, and it should continue. I hope this finds you well. And when we go into next week, remember we have a lot of auctions. And so we'll see how the bond market does, another plus $100 billion worth of bonds. And of course, we got to follow COVID, the rise of cases, shutdowns. There's a lot to follow. And we're going to have fits and starts and a lot of volatility. But what I would be doing is maybe floating a bulky pipeline into the weekend. Let's see how it goes next week. And of course, if anything changes, we'll get back to you. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.